Start recording. Here. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We are lucky to have Sergeant Gillespie here from the Glen Cove Police Department, who's going to be presenting on safe and responsible usage of social media and technology. So thank you so much. Nina is recording. Mrs. DeVita will be recording the presentation. And I do ask that if you have any questions, you can throw them into the chat and we'll answer them as we go. All right. Thank you so much, Sergeant Gillespie. Take it away.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Number one, I love doing this. We've been doing this particular program for a couple years now, and it's just great to be able to work with Tigerman. I've been working with Tigerman for a long time. I now run the GC Pact program, which is Good Choices Police and Community Together, which works with the schools in the Glen Cove community, which obviously includes two Tigerman buildings. I've been doing that for several years now, and the program is really about helping kids and the police have a great relationship, but also very importantly about teaching kids about making good choices in their lives. For the older kids, it's about peer pressure, bullying, those type of things. But it also we get into drug usage, how to identify drugs, how to say no to drugs, very importantly. We've been working on this program for a long time. It's a long time in development, and every year we tweak and change as new things come up. And these days, in 2025, they seem to change and come up very, very quickly. So the kids are confronted with more and more things, especially with social media and the internet. That's why I really love this particular thing that we do together, because the kids are all on it, no matter what, at this point. And one of their, especially the younger ones, even too, Roblox, things are marketed towards younger people nowadays that when I was growing up, that it didn't really exist. This is an important program, and I'm really grateful that I get to do it. So I have a PowerPoint presentation prepared, so I'll go through a little bit of that. I've tweaked it from last year, as I just talked about. I've added in some things that I've been seeing just as the year has been going on, more and more things that kids need to be aware of, and parents need to be aware of to know what their kids are up to. And teachers too. It's not easy as in the teaching world too, because you guys are thrust into that role as well. So I'm going to share my screen. Before I do that, I've been with the Glen Cove Police Department for 12 years now. I'm a sergeant, so I oversee several cops when I work with them. And I went to Marist College for undergrad and Columbia for my teaching education. I actually used to be a teacher prior to becoming a police officer. So that's also why I really love this program, because it brings both worlds together. So that's a little bit about me. And let me see if I can find my screen here and get this started. Okay, so a little clicking. And let's get to share. Okay, sharing is not turned on. Send request. Hopefully, okay, presenters can share. Wonderful. Okay, you are screen sharing. Wonderful. Okay, everybody can see my screen for the most part. I see heads nodding, so yes, that's good. Wonderful. All right, so we'll go from the beginning. All right, so obviously, this is again our little acronym, which is GC Pact. It's Good Choices, Police and Community Together. All right, so what is internet safety and what is online? You might not realize nowadays, all of us are probably connected to the internet right now in several different ways. People nowadays have smartwatches, cell phones, laptops. it's almost never ending nowadays. So you're constantly connected to the internet on several different devices. And it's easy, even on those little tiny smartwatch screens that everybody has, to access the internet and be able to look up things. So, it's not just, that one, it's not just one device anymore of sitting in front of the computer like I'm doing right now. It's literally everything. Okay. Gaming consoles, all of those gaming consoles that kids now are on are all connected to the internet. Even single player games that the kid might be playing still makes them join online. So they're still connected in some way, shape, or form to the internet, even when they're playing those type of games. So those are important things to keep in mind, that really it just doesn't start and stop when the kid's really in front of the computer anymore. It's nonstop. So it's really an ongoing thing. And again, some of the basic safety and security issues that we deal with in the police world, and the teachers are dealing with, and really everybody is really dealing with. Obviously, inappropriate content. You want to make sure that the stuff that the kids are posting online is appropriate for their age. And don't forget, for the internet, it never really goes away. Once you post something online these days, Instagram, even Snapchat, which a lot of the kids always tell me, oh yeah, Sergeant Gillespie, doesn't that delete after you send a snap? Not really. Those things exist in perpetuity. The company owns whatever you send. They own it. You agree to that. When you click on their little spiel, everybody sees those things that we always click through, right at the beginning, the licensing agreement, all of that stuff. That's giving them permission to hold on to all of your pictures, images, everything that you post, pretty much forever, and to use it almost in any way, shape, or form that they want to use it. Sell their business, increase their stock portfolio, whatever it is. So you got to be very careful about what you're posting, because it really doesn't go away. And the Snapchat thing, especially, we can access that. People say, oh yeah, it was sent on Snapchat. Somebody sent me some image that, was inappropriate, or maybe it was about school violence or something, but it disappeared. That's accessible still. It's easy for law enforcement. Nassau County has a specialized unit that deals with this stuff, and we can speak to them and are able to access all of that. And I can only imagine what the NYPD has, in that regard. It's probably 10 times even what Nassau County has. Online privacy, for the older kids, sexting is a major problem. I don't usually bring that up in the elementary schools, but for sure, the high schools, the older kids, that's a major issue. You see that a lot as well. And this is where kids tend to get themselves in trouble, because they think that the image is probably, they think that they're probably going to be with that person forever. And oftentimes that doesn't happen. And these images get sent around, and it becomes sometimes it becomes a criminal issue. Online solicitation, kids being kind of one way form or the other, being asked to send things, money, online, even in these Roblox games, they can send valuable sort of digital currency that people want from the kids. So they can lose that, and it ends up costing the parents a lot of money. I'm sure there's probably parents out there that have signed up for Roblox and then looked at the credit card bill and then been like, oh my, I can't believe that I've spent $150 on Roblox. So those are things to be aware of. Like, if your kid's sending somebody these digital currencies that they really shouldn't be sending. Cyberbullying, another major issue. Back when I went to school, when I was growing up, bullying sort of ended at the end of the school day for the most part. But now it's, for these kids, it's 24/7, 365. So cyberbullying is a major issue. The schools have gotten much better about identifying it and dealing with it. So it's been a little bit better, I think, over the last couple years. But when we had this online social media explosion, cyberbullying was really a major issue, and it was very hard to identify and figure out how to tackle it. And that can cross into criminal stuff as well. New York State is pretty strict, about what you can and can't send to somebody in a threatening manner. Okay. So always want to keep the kids, aware of that. ID theft is another thing. Pretty much every adult that I know has been a victim of ID theft at this point. Hackers get a hold of your information online, one way or form or another, your social security number. They can open up accounts, and again, it is the same with your kids. Your kids have a social security number. So it's stuff that you want to pay attention to and possibly could be a victim of with all of the social media. It's wonderful in a lot of ways, but also can be difficult. There are a lot of, I don't want to make it seem like there aren't a lot of positives to it as well. I mean, having these cell phones and having access to the internet, basically a supercomputer nowadays in your pocket, is wonderful in a lot of ways, but it takes a lot to have the kids and even adults nowadays learn the best ways to use it. Because if you're getting bombarded with information and you don't really know how to interpret it, it can be overwhelming. So it's important to have the kids learn about media literacy and all of those things, about how to identify what's a good source, what's not, and things that they should and shouldn't be doing really online. Obviously, excessive violence, and I'm going to talk a little bit about more of that in a little bit. We've been probably seeing it a lot in the media. They talked a lot about what happened in Utah with Charlie Kirk, and how a lot of young people nowadays with violence online have become almost bombarded with violent images and ideas from online communities. They come up with ideas from these places, and all of a sudden, it doesn't take much to get them acting these things out. So I'll talk a little bit about things that you should look for with that. Hate speech, an ongoing issue as well. Obviously, you don't want kids posting things like that online. Illegal behavior, pornography is accessible as well. So you have to be very wary of what the kids are accessing, what they're looking at pretty much all the time when they're on these devices. And Roblox had a little bit of a problem just recently. So even for the younger kids, about inappropriate content getting posted in their game and even off their game when the kids are using Discord and all of these things that sort of go along with online gaming. Okay. So online privacy, again, normal, fun things to do on the internet. Instagram, Snapchat, all of these things have wonderful, normal, things, Facebook, that you can do with your family and friends, right? It's fun to post photos and show people, hey, this weekend, this time of year, right? It's all about pumpkin picking. Everybody, you take a picture with the kids when you go down to the fair, and you get to show your family, hey, we went with the kids down to the fair and we picked out some pumpkins, and it's fun, right? Casual, and nowadays too, casual fun gaming conversation is a huge thing for the younger people. There's several different sites, Discord, all of these things where you can actually find a community where they're just talking about gaming, and that can be a lot of fun, and inside the game as well. It's great to figure out strategies and do all of those things. And then obviously, one of the things that I always talk to the young kids even about too is posting personal information about yourself and others. And I go over this a lot in even for the elementary school kids. you don't want to send out where you live, who you are, your full name and address to anyone online unless you're really 110% sure of who that person is. Like you've spoken to your dad online a couple times and you know definitively that it's your dad. That's probably fine to, share your name or whatever with your father, But other than that, I've always told them be very careful about what you're sending out to others. There's a trend about posting first day of school information. You want to try to limit, you don't want the people being out there seeing exactly what school your youngster's in, what grade they're in, who their teacher is. It gives everybody a lot of information. Those photos are fun and everybody loves sharing them, but always think about exactly what level of information should be available to pretty much everybody. Again, it's these photos start out with just you in the photo, and then it sort of multiplies very quickly. And then sending risque images, again, it can be tricky. It can be very hard, and it's not really for youngsters to be doing, but they have access to all of this, technology that enables them to send these things, and they don't have really, their brains aren't developed sufficiently to really make a good decision about whether or not they should. So my thing to them always about that stuff is don't be sending any images of yourself that you're not comfortable with everybody having access to, right? If it's a selfie or something, that's fine, but anything else beyond that should really you should really think about before you're sending, or just don't. Most American teens nowadays have access to the internet. It's probably even higher than the last time I updated the statistics on this, but over 80% of the teen population in the United States has a smartphone. My advice about that is try to hold off as long as possible about giving them an actual full-on internet accessible smartphone. They do make smartphones nowadays, well, smartphones, but that don't have full access to the internet. I think one of the brands is maybe Nothing Phone or something like that, where they just have access to phone calls and texts, and they don't really have the full capability of the internet on that particular device. And if you do give them a smartphone that has internet access, you want to be looking at that and seeing what they're up to on there and what they're Googling and what they're looking up and what apps they've downloaded and what are they using these apps for. It can be overwhelming. The phones hold a tremendous amount of applications nowadays that have access to all sorts of different things. I wouldn't even be able to go through it all if I tried. So be very wary if you've given your 12-year-old, 13-year-old, full access to the internet in a supercomputer in their pocket. You want to make sure about what they're looking at. Talk to them about it and then say, hey, would you mind if I take a look with you about what you're looking at? It's important. These are probably some of the larger ones. For the older population of kids, Facebook is still very popular, and adults too. Everybody pretty much still has at least a Facebook account. Just about everybody's on Instagram. When I ask even in the elementary school, I do get probably 50% of the kids who are probably, I guess at that age, maybe 10 or 11, raising their hands about having Instagram accounts. And then there's a lot of kids that have access to Snapchat. Instagram is more photo based. If you don't know a little bit about Instagram, most people have it nowadays. And then Snapchat can be photos and text back and forth. This is still accessible. I always tell the kids, and they're kind of mind blown about that. So you want to keep them and let them know that people can get access to that stuff even after they've sent it. So they want to be very careful about what they're sending. This one in particular is one you want to really pay attention to as a as an adult. Does somebody have a question or?
Yes, I do. Hi, this is
Sure, go ahead.
Tamara Foy. Um, my first question is if there's any recommendations on monitoring apps that you have, apps to monitor
There's
their use.
there's a lot. There's a lot, and I think I actually have a slide on monitoring apps and
Okay.
filtering devices that can help you guys sort of filter out exactly what the kids are having access to. And I believe they even work on cell phones. There are a few out there, and I can also take a look at that as well, and try to get some right before we end here to get some good recommendations. But I'll keep moving
Okay.
forward. Do you have
And
anything else, Tamara?
the other thing
Sure.
is that thanks for saying my name right. Usually people don't. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, is I read because I use Bark to monitor my son's phone.
That's a good one.
Um,
That's actually, I think, one of the ones that I was going to talk about. So that's a pretty good one.
But I did read that I think once they turn 16, that it's actually illegal to put a monitoring app on their phone without their permission or something like that. Do you know
Um,
anything around that?
my understanding is if they're younger than 18, they're still technically a kid, and you're still technically responsible for whatever really they're up to in terms of, you can still make medical decisions for them, all of those things until they've really reached the age of 18. So um, in my mind, I would keep it on there until they turn 18, and hopefully by the time that they reach 18, they've got a pretty good understanding, and the science out there now is saying that the kids really aren't, everyone's brains really aren't fully developed until they're in their early 20s. But you hope that you've taught them enough, I guess, at that stage to really say, hey, things that you're sending or things that you're accessing can be difficult.
Okay, thank you.
You're
And I
welcome.
think also probably, I know from my own kids, they're not paying for that phone. I'm paying for it, right? So I feel like also you're borrowing
Absolutely.
the phone that I'm still going to oversee everything until you are old enough to, pay for things on your own. I don't know. Just
Yeah.
another.
Absolutely. Yeah. The paying part is an important part too, right? Like you're in charge. You're running the show and you're paying for everything. So it's like you should absolutely keep that monitored until they're really a full adult. And if you're still paying for the service and you feel like it's needed, absolutely, keep using it. Um, and it's not just younger. A lot of the school related violence and the violence that you're seeing, it's not just younger kids that are really falling victim to this. It's sometimes older teens. So yeah, there is a need out there to really know older teens are accessing, and they're the ones that are really accessing some of the stuff that I'll talk about in a second. Religiously, almost, I guess is the word. They're in there and they're accessing these chat rooms and everything else that can lead them down a pretty dark path. So yeah, I think for sure, try to monitor them, smartly, as much as possible. TikTok is a major problem for us, and it continues to be. Even with, I know in the last couple of years, we've been back and forth in the media about TikTok, whether or not China is spying on us, and I think they're trying to sell it to someone domestically, and maybe the president's son apparently is going to be running this thing, maybe. So we're going to see exactly how this all plays out, but it continues to be there, and it continues to be a problem for law enforcement for sure, because kids see these trends and silly things that they see on there, and they want to mimic it. They want to see if they can create the video that they saw on TikTok and post it and get millions and millions of clicks and likes, and it can be lucrative for younger people nowadays to sort of do this. to go on there and become sort of what they call an influencer. So yeah, they do try to do that. The crate challenge is one that I always bring up, and the kids find that relatively amusing. It's a little bit older now, but it was about people trying to balance themselves walking across milk crates and falling from great heights. And there was a huge trend with that for a long period of time. We still occasionally see the fence challenge come up, which is the kids see if they can run full speed. I don't know why they would do this. Full speed through one of those white PVC fences, and it makes a great loud noise when they crash through it. But really what they're doing is destroying other people's property. They're never doing it in their parents' backyard. They're doing it around the neighborhood and seeing if they can get away before the cops show up. And then they had a bathroom challenge about seeing if they can remove some of the non-fixed items from a bathroom. We dealt with that for like 2 or 3 summers in a row. So it continues to be a major problem. TikTok can really be something that you really do need to pay attention to. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see your friend's granddaughter did a trend. Yeah. So yeah, it can be very, very dangerous. It can be very dangerous with these things that these kids are seeing online, and then they want to, sort of just keep going with it. They want to make sure they want to see if they can, copy these things and become some sort of an influencer. It's a lucrative thing for the kids nowadays. And if people get into this business and sort of can talk about their experiences and things like that, they can make some money off these things. But that's a very difficult business to probably break into as well. So yeah, if they're using TikTok, really monitor what they're up to. You can kind of, because the TikTok just keeps recommending video. So if you look at what they're viewing, and what's popping up, and it's sort of crazy looking or objectionable or whatever, you can assume that they're watching that pretty frequently on TikTok. Roblox, in the last year or so, I saw some negative news about them. You want to make sure who they're talking to on there. This is a popular one. When I ask about this in the elementary school, the amount of hands that go up are crazy. I'm sure both Kristen and Nina can probably talk about their kids are probably all into it as well, even with the older kids. So I think it was 99% of the kids were on Roblox when I asked them. So it's popular. Be aware who they're talking to, contact with strangers, again, and it's adult related. Sometimes they're being exposed to adult related content, people that are, on there, maybe innocently too, trying to speak to maybe people their own age. And that's part of the issue, is no one really knows how old some people are. And some of these kids can be 8, 9, 10 years old on this Roblox. And now you're getting in your 8-year-olds being spoken to by a 16-year-old who's on there maybe looking to find a girlfriend on Roblox. And all of a sudden they're talking about things where they really shouldn't be talking about at 8 years old. Okay. So you want to make sure who they're talking to and what they're talking about. And then again, I touched on this very briefly before, in-app purchases. Your bill can get very high. Your credit card can get very high. If you're not 100% sure what they're buying on there, there's in-app purchases, and they can be expensive. And that's with pretty much all of these games nowadays too. It's a tremendous amount. We recommend a resource to stay aware of the trends so that we can try to get ahead of potential issues. A lot of this that I picked up and from the slideshow that I've updated, this one about about Roblox. I sort of, if I can go back, let me see if I can go back. I sort of did some Googling on my own, and I had seen that go by on the media about Roblox, and um, you know, so a lot of what you can do to find out about these recent trends, and then, like I talked about at the beginning, it's so fast nowadays. Every time I turn around, somebody's coming into the police station here with their youngster about this new app that they were using, and they sent this or that over the app, and they really shouldn't have sent that over the app. I'm sure the teachers probably are bombarded with it even more than we are. So it's very difficult to keep up with, what exactly is out there and what exactly is trending. TikTok, like I said, is a huge thing. But Reddit really is very popular now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. For the older kids, especially, it's more text based, but it also can include images and pictures and all of those things. So yeah, do the best you can, I guess, to maybe talk to your kids and say, hey, what are you into nowadays in terms of online? A lot of it is online gaming based. And that's how they end up in these weird sort of chat rooms sometimes too, is through these games. So yeah, be aware of what games they're into and what games they're playing. Um, for Roblox in particular, you can set parental controls, you can disable private messaging, and keep an eye obviously on your credit card. Okay.
I just put something in the chat too. Those are different sites you can go to where you can get information on like different trends that are happening
Oh,
online that could be dangerous and stuff, just so you can kind of be aware, or like you said, Miss Henderson, stay ahead of the game.
yeah, because it like I talked about it, it goes very, very quickly nowadays. All of a sudden the kids are on to a new game. And by the time that you figure out what game that they're on, they're already on to another one. So yeah, that's important to try to keep as much track of as possible. So yeah, use those websites and just Google in general. See what's trending, see what's out there, see what sort of things that are popular with the kids that you have, their particular age group. They love talking about this stuff too when I bring it up in class. So they are, they're very open to talk about, what they're into and what games they're into and all of those sort of things. So, the kids are great. So, I mean, I'm sure they're more than happy to tell you, hey, I've been playing this game and doing this, and I'm working on this in Minecraft and, all of these games. So, they like that. Reddit and 4chan. Reddit is kind of like, the polite version, I guess, of this thing called 4chan. It's been in the news lately a lot. If your kid is or older teen is accessing that particular website, that should raise an immediate red flag. You probably want to make sure that you've locked out that website from, if you're concerned about it, from being accessed. I don't want to say that, for free speech reasons, why, you don't want to limit, but these are youngsters. So you want to make sure that they're accessing things that are appropriate for their age. And 4chan for sure is not an appropriate thing for them to be accessing. Reddit has a lot of really cool, useful stuff in it. But again, like any other website, you really need to make sure what they're actually accessing on Reddit. There can be some objectionable items and thoughts and things as well on there. And I've seen it in the last couple years, especially, as the country, for whatever reason, gets more and more politically divided. You see a lot more people talking about things that are objectionable and certainly something that shouldn't really be, something for the kids to really be looking at. But Reddit does have some wonderful stuff too. Recipes to look at and cooking and all sorts of really fun things. But you really want to make sure, hey, when you're using it, what are you looking at and what are you using it for? So that's a great thing. And Reddit can have a lot of cool gaming stuff. So you don't really need to lock that one out, but I would monitor very heavily. But 4chan for sure is another text-based, kind of like chat, back and forth chat between people and postings and everything else. And That is particularly violent. That is, where a lot of these school violence related things get kind of get developed. And in recent years, you see a lot of the kids even across the whole entire globe. There was a shooting, I believe, in New Zealand that referenced things that occurred here in the United States, and then they've been referencing each other back and forth. And it turns out when the authorities look into this, that it's 4chan where these kids are sharing all of these ideas. And you probably saw it just recently with the shooting with Charlie Kirk. That was in the media. 4chan, kind of was the breeding ground for even, that particular shooter. So it's not, they get these bad ideas and it's really across the political divide, across the entire political spectrum. These ideas come up on 4chan. So if your kid's accessing that, you probably want to make sure that they're blocked from accessing that, or be very, 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 very closely monitoring what they're up to there, very closely. And yeah, that's a great conversational topic too, to talk about them with, why that's dangerous and why that's sort of inappropriate to be accessing. And so for law enforcement, it can be particularly dangerous. We want to make sure that kids are not accessing that stuff. Went too fast. Yep. And then so obviously on their social media, you want to make sure that they're keeping their profile private on there. Obviously, people can still access certain things on there, but yeah, they want to make sure that they're keeping their profile private and they're posting photos that they have permission to post. Sometimes the kids get a little ahead of themselves and they're posting things of friends, and maybe the friend didn't really want that posted. So that's an important thing too, to like talk to them and have them learn about consent. Is it okay if I post Jen's picture on here? And those type of things. You want to make sure that they don't post personal details, phone numbers, home addresses, school name, all of those things. Keep that off of there if you can. Obviously, it's not always going to be 100% secure for all of that stuff. Kids are going to talk about where they go to school and those type of things. Try to limit it as much as possible. Yes, a question. Go ahead, Tamara.
Yes. So what, and I don't know if you have a slide for this, but what if an image is posted or a video is posted without your permission? What are the steps to take when that happens? Because that has happened to my son before.
Yeah. Whatever site that is happening on absolutely has people that work all the time that you can get in contact with them. It's like a lot of people say to us like, oh, well, there's no one to talk to. They absolutely have, customer service people for Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. There's people to talk to in regards to this. So if something's been posted, they usually have a way to get that removed. And so I would reach out to them either through email, or you can actually call them. A lot of them have phone numbers and people who are staffed sometimes 24/7 that you can speak to. So yeah, I mean, you can flag these things online. I think there's ways to click it on these sites. Like Instagram has like several different things that you can click. I know Facebook probably has the same thing. So yeah, I would reach out to that particular platform, and there's thousands of them at this point, and reach out to them and say, hey, this got posted. What do I do about getting this image removed? Was it with consent?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And yeah, I mean, it's a great way to teach kids about consent, right? Like when is it cool to like post somebody online? Like, should you be posting your friends? Do they want that posted? All of those things. So it's a great conversational topic for the kids to have amongst themselves and say, hey, it's cool if you post this picture, before they leave the party or whatever, or, it's a good way for you guys to talk to them about, are you comfortable having X, Y, and Z image of you at this kid's birthday party posted? Again, you want to make sure that you should never post passwords. You wouldn't believe what sometimes we see. Home address, locations, home and cell phone numbers, email address, really any personal information as well. You can't take it back. So yeah, again, what we see nowadays is a lot with the blackmailing. Oh, I went too fast again. You see a lot of information being blackmailed. And if a kid shares an image and then, and this happens to adults too. They share an image with somebody that they think is somebody else. And now all of a sudden they're getting text that we're going to release this image to everybody that you know unless you send us 10 Bitcoins. So you got to be very careful about what you're sending out there into the world. And obviously, if somebody's blackmailing you, that can be, a criminal offense. So you want to maybe reach out to your local police precinct if something like that is happening. A lot of times these people are bluffing. They don't actually really have any images. So it's very difficult to navigate those things, especially for kids. And they get themselves into into trouble by, not sort of knowing exactly what to do there. So yeah, go over with them about what sexting is, especially the older kids, but you can start broaching the topic maybe with some of the younger ones about sending nude photos of yourself to somebody else, because once you send that out, it's impossible to get it back. And then, especially for kids in high school, all of a sudden the images are going around and then it's a huge to do. And the teachers and principals and staff there really have to, work very hard to sort of bring that back to normalcy. So it's very difficult. And again, there's a lot of criminality that can be involved with that. You're sharing nude images of somebody without their permission. And even if your kid sort of innocently forwards it to another kid, all of a sudden they can be in legal trouble. So you want to talk to them about, all of that stuff. If they're seeing something on there that like, oh my God, this kid looks like they're being cyberbullied, images are being shared and everything else that looks like if something's going on for another kid, tell them, hey, they should be reaching out to their teacher and or somebody that they trust at the school building and telling them, hey, so and so, it looks like they're being cyberbullied, and I saw an image that was weird and everything else, and sometimes that can really help that particular student, resolve whatever issue that got going on. So have your kid be a helper too. It really makes a difference. So again, be very careful. It could, especially as they get older, they can be tried as an adult if they start sending out these images. Right. So solicitation, these older adults are trying to get these kids, and it usually occurs from out of the country. And this occurs with adults too. Being told to do certain things, especially your teens, right? They're being asked to do certain things that they don't feel comfortable with, send pictures. Sometimes they can be solicited by peers, to send images, do these things. But also solicitation involves, other things of sending money and doing other things, sending money, Bitcoin, all of these things online, sending information overseas. So it can be very tricky to know who's who online. So it's very important. Gradually introducing explicit images, using adult status to control a child's behavior. Again, you want to really just be out there and involved in what your kids are looking at every single day online and who they're talking to. If they're behaving strangely with text messages and not really showing you, it's a good idea to get something to maybe monitor what they're up to on there, or really tell them, hey, I'm going to turn this service off if you can't let me see exactly what you're up to. Internet safety at home. It's more important for your home safety to be very, squared away, because schools, Libraries are very good. Tiegerman is wonderful with their safety policy and their protocols. When I come in sometimes to do a lecture with them, you can't even bring a jump drive, I believe, without getting access. Kristen always has to come down and help me access and make sure that I can get in and logged in to be able to share, my lectures with the kids. So Tiegerman is wonderful. They've got it squared away, and they can't really access stuff at school that they really shouldn't be looking at. And if they are, it notifies the administrators and teachers of exactly what they're looking at. So at home, you don't really have that. So you want to make sure you're looking at what they're up to and asking them and having those conversations, and looking into, with your internet service provider and cell phone carriers, what sort of safety measures do you recommend, and what can I put in place? Internet filtering. You can call your internet service provider, and they can get you a security app to figure out child safe internet filtering. A lot of these places, Verizon, whatever's in the city these days, the Dish Network, all of these places offer some level of basic security to provide what you can browse and what you can't browse through their internet services. Child locks, a lot of them, these streaming services offer that as well. What they can be watching on Amazon Prime and Netflix and all of these things. So there's a tremendous amount of security applications out there. It's just figuring out how to use them and how to do that. And then each one, of course, is going to have its own way of accessing that and setting it up. You can always call like Verizon or whoever else is out there nowadays providing internet services. I think pretty much they all do. T-Mobile, all of them pretty much offer that. So you can also block websites and keywords. A lot of the very strict protocols that like a place like Tiegerman or Glen Cove Schools has set up. Like if a kid types in, even for like a report, a particular keyword, let's see if I can go back. There was a kid doing a report one time, and it got sent to us about the American Revolution, and they typed up musket or rifle or something into the computer, and it notified the administration, and they said, "Oh, this kid's looking up stuff about guns." We ended up going to the house, and they're like, "No, no, no, I'm doing a book report." So that type of stuff happens, and those things exist out there that would notify you as a parent as well if your kid's typing something in online that you're like, whoa, what are they looking up here? And it could be related to violence, guns, it can be related to pornography, it can be related to really anything that you really are going to say, whoa, my kids should not really be looking at this. So that's a great way to do that. And then time limits too. Sometimes as adults, we need these things too, right? Limit the amount of time that we're scrolling through Instagram, right? So yeah, time limits can be set up, and that should be used as well. Maybe you only want your kid to be able to use social media for 1 hour a day or half an hour a day or whatever it is. So those things exist as well. And those are usually offered by Instagram itself or Facebook or all of those large social media providers do offer that. So that's really something that you want to look into. And then yes, Bark is a great one. Aura is another one. Check your kids' browser history frequently. Know who they're talking with and who they're chatting with. Obviously, if they're talking to their peers about stuff that's appropriate, that's fine. That's exactly what you want them to be doing. So yeah, make sure you know what they're up to on these cell phones. The cell phones are particularly powerful. I don't really recommend kids really having full access to a smart device at before they really get to high school. And then even in high school, you really want to limit what they're able to access and know exactly what they're accessing. And then I was going to see if I had more resources. All right, there's an online quiz here if anybody's interested. Safekids.com. It's probably a good website to take a look at if you have any more stuff that you want to look at for, good ways to keep the kids safe. Does anybody have any questions? That pretty much wraps up, everything that I really need to talk about. Does anybody have any more questions or thoughts or concerns that they want to bring up about, anything that we talked about?
I do.
Sure.
So Soro, it's like a pretty new application where it could do almost anything AI based.
Hmm.
Um, any thoughts around that? And have you started to see any reports come in around Soro? Are you familiar with
Is
it?
it SORO? I'm actually going to do some Googling while
Yes.
we're talking.
Yeah. So I know it can do anything from like take anyone's voice, it can and create things with the voice, it can take your image and actual do videos where you see yourself doing things that you didn't do.
Hmm.
Um,
So yeah, this is all very, very new. I see it's open AI related. I'm just doing some quick Googling myself. I'm going to stop my share so then you can see me again. So yeah, I just quickly looked it up, and open AI is an AI in general is going to be tricky. It's going to be hard to, somebody in law enforcement, it's going to be very difficult to know, what's real and what's not. And these videos, I'm sure everybody's seen them nowadays. I'm sure the teachers have seen it, where things they look like they've actually happened, but they haven't happened at all. So yeah, image stealing and all of these things, it's a great idea to go over even with adults in your life, to be very wary and careful about things that they're seeing, or maybe this image stealing, they can make it look like, for an older person, their grandkids calling and saying, hey, I need to borrow, $5,000 from you. We get that a lot here. It's usually over the phone, but now they can make it look like, over an app that it's actually the grandkid calling. So it's going to get trickier and trickier to really identify these things. There's going to have to be a pushback from people eventually about AI, and see how to sort of safely navigate all of that. I don't know really. It's also new still, and that really seems to be taking off on a daily basis when you see something new. I didn't know about Sora yet, but I'm sure there's probably dozens upon dozens of other ones also out there. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything to really combat that yet. I'm hoping that these AI companies really learn that yeah, their technology can be used for evil almost, to a very certain extent. So if your kids are playing around with AI related stuff, Chat GPT, and I would encourage them to be very mindful and careful about how they use it. And there's a literacy to how to use that well, and how to use it poorly. You don't want them just typing in like whatever the research topic is and then printing out a paper and then handing that in, because they really haven't learned anything then. But yeah, image stealing is a big thing. I don't really know how to combat that yet. That's a good question. It's going to take a lot of work and effort in the next probably few years to really get ahead of that. I'd like to probably look into that more. That's a good question. Anybody else?
No. Well, thank you very much, Sergeant Gillespie, for your time today, and thank you to all the families that joined. Again, this will be accessible through the website. We'll have it posted and recorded for you to access at any time as well. So thank you all so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Yes.
Did anybody have something in chat? I see chat. Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank.
Sorry, I'm like at the last bit, but
Oh,
Principal Lyons, I do have a question, and I don't know if this was addressed in the beginning of this meeting. Um, is this something that the information that we received, is this something that the kids will receive as well, or any
so yeah.
thoughts of?
So actually, Sergeant Gillespie and the Glen Cove City Police Department do come in and do this training with all of our eighth grade students as well. So they come in for, I believe it's 6 sessions, seven
Yes,
sessions,
6.
and they
Yeah.
kind of go through the same presentation you all just sat through as well, just about social media. I mean, obviously we go over that as well here, on a regular basis, but they're really getting the crux of what you just sat through as well during that GPACT week.
Yeah, we always work then. Even with my younger, I usually go to the elementary school, and my one of my best cops, Officer Guastella, goes up to the middle school now, and she always talks a lot about social media, and she's on the younger side too, so she probably has an even bigger grasp on what the kids are facing, and what they really have to are up against in terms of social media. And again, a lot of it's wonderful. AI can be really wonderful, and social media can be really wonderful too if used well. So we do talk a lot about that.
Yeah. So they'll sit through that GPACT this year.
Okay, but just eighth grade? I mean, is there
So the eighth grade
room
does
for?
the GPACT program every year for the eighth graders. But yes, but they talk about it in technology classes, the importance of safety on social media and all of the things that we just did. The GPAC just obviously goes into more depth about, similar to what we talked about today. But yeah, it's kind of reinforced. And again, I think middle school is so hard because this is the time where they're all, and a lot of our kids, because they're coming from all over, they're not in the neighborhood. So that's how they communicate with each other, through social media, through Instagram, through Snapchat. That's kind of all they know. So just kind of reinforcing to them regularly, the importance of safety. I mean, we have issues all the time with kids coming in, so and so said this and sent me this on Snapchat and this, and it's hard for us to oversee, what happens at home, but obviously when things are brought to our attention that are red flags, we have to address it. But yes, it is something that's discussed and kind of ingrained in them over and over. And again, for them to understand the importance of what you're putting out there, what you're texting your friends, what you're posting stays with you. So when you're older, when you're trying to go into the workforce, and they're looking at these things, they're looking at these accounts that you had and what you're posted. So, and if it's difficult for a lot of them to understand the ramifications that something simple as posting something you thought was silly or you were joking around can affect you on later on in life. But yes, they do address it.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, we do come in, we basically come in twice, which is nice for Tigerman too. We do a program in the 5th grade where I go over a lot of the basic stuff, and I especially talk about Roblox and a lot of those younger things that are, looked at by younger kids, and then they get it again in 8th grade. So they really get it twice, for Tigerman, which is really nice. We've split that program. So, you can talk a little bit about things that are facing younger kids and things that are facing sort of older kids as well.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you
Thank you,
so much,
guys.
everybody. Have a great day.
You too. Good seeing you.
Bye. Thank you, Sergeant.